These are the new Google Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds, and even though I usually love Pixel products, how do I feel about these bad boys? Let's find out. What's up, internet? I'm Brian MacDuff, aka BMac, and welcome to another video. So yes, indeed, today we're going to be going over these bad boys right here, the Google Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds, Google's latest flagship earbuds offering. But first things first, I do need to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Google for actually sending out a pair of these Google Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds for me to be able to check out and enjoy. A gift from Google, so Google, thank you. Appreciate you. But with that having been said, we've got a lot to get to, so let's get right into it here by starting things out with the design of the Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds and what makes these new Google earbuds so unique on the outside and on the inside. At first glance, you are going to notice that the Pixel Buds Pro 2 are somewhat similar to the Pixel Buds Pro, the originals, but when you are directly comparing the two, you are going to immediately see that the Pixel Buds Pro 2 are so much smaller and lighter in weight, which would make them an overall better fit in your ear. The Pixel Buds Pro 2 are once again featuring a bud style design without any kind of stem or ear hooks, and they do come with 4 different sizes of ear tips to choose from. But one thing that is different with the Pixel Buds Pro 2 is a silicone stabilizer built in, something that we missed in the original Pixel Buds Pro and that I was pretty vocal about missing. I do wish the stabilizer in the Pixel Buds Pro 2 was just a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. I think that would help it serve its purpose a little bit more effectively. You're actually supposed to be able to twist or slightly untwist the Pixel Buds Pro 2 when they're in your ears for either a more secure fit or a more comfortable fit, but I honestly never find myself ever wanting to slightly untwist them. I'm just cranking them all the way back to the secure fit, because that's where they feel most secure and still just as comfortable. But one major upgrade you're getting in the Pixel Buds Pro 2 charging case this year is the addition of a built-in speaker that is going to emit a chime sound for different connectivity scenarios. You'll hear a subtle chime when you start charging your Pixel Buds Pro 2, for example, or when you need to locate them if you misplace them through the built-in Find Device capabilities. The Find Device capabilities are going to allow you to track down your Pixel Buds Pro 2, not just on a map, but also by sound emission when you're close to them and are tracking them down by hearing where they're coming from. But within each Pixel Bud Pro 2 earbud is going to be an 11mm driver, plus a new high-frequency chamber for smooth treble. I will say that typically in pro-level earbuds at this price point, I like to see 2 different dedicated drivers built in, one for the high end, one for the low end. But we'll talk more about sound quality in just a few minutes. Now, even though the Pixel Buds Pro 2 are bud-style earbuds without any kind of stem hanging off of them, this doesn't mean that they don't have any track controls, because they do, including swipe gestures. The Pixel Buds Pro 2 offer dedicated track controls for single tapping, double tapping, triple tapping, pressing and holding, and even swiping forward or swiping backward. These controls are going to cover your play and pause, your skipping, your backtracking, and even your volume control, as well as for toggling active noise control on or off, or invoking the digital voice assistant through the customized press and hold option. Topping all this off is going to be an IP54 dust and water resistance rating for the earbuds themselves, and an IPX4 water resistance rating for the charging case. But let's deep dive a little further into the kind of tech that these earbuds are offering by talking about more of the connectivity features, and of course the kind of features that their chipset and internals are supporting. One very exciting feature with the Pixel Buds Pro 2 this year is actually going to be the inclusion of a Google Tensor A1 chip, the first ever Google Tensor chip in a pair of earbuds. Now, it's this Google Tensor A1 chip that's providing various AI capabilities while allowing for what Google is promising to be twice the amount of active noise cancellation performance, along with, of course, your premium sound delivery. But while the Pixel Buds Pro 2 offer Bluetooth 5.4 support for the latest and greatest in Bluetooth technology, with support for Bluetooth LE audio, the time I'm making this video, I only found myself being able to use SBC, AAC, and the Opus audio codecs. Now, I will say for a pair of earbuds at this price point, I do fully expect at least one high-res Bluetooth audio codec being supported, whether that's LDAC or aptX, whatever. The point is that we're not getting any of them supported here in the Pixel Buds Pro 2. Now, like I mentioned, you do get spatial audio support on the Pixel Buds Pro 2 with head tracking, but in my testing in the various spatial audio supporting apps, I wasn't all that impressed with the spatial audio performance. I actually just ended up turning it off. Not a huge deal for me, because these days if I'm watching a movie or TV show, it's usually in my home theater setup, and then when I'm listening to music, I rarely if ever listen to spatial audio music anyway, so Not a big deal for me, but for you, might be something to consider. In terms of gaming, if you're thinking about using the Pixel Buds Pro 2 for gaming on your connected device, you may want to think twice about that. There does not seem to be any kind of low lag mode with these earbuds, and in my testing, I was actually able to clock these babies at having a latency around 350 milliseconds or so to the connected device, which is far from ideal for mobile gaming scenarios. You do get multi-point support, which is nice. That's gonna allow you to connect these buds to 2 different source devices at once, which in my testing works flawlessly. And you do also get audio switch when you're using the Pixel Buds Pro 2 with your various Android devices, which also works great. And then topping it all off, you do have in-ear detection with autoplay and auto pause, which for me is basically a must-have these days. And in the Pixel Buds Pro 2, it works exactly as you'd expect it to. But another huge bummer, and something that's still rather surprising to me, is the fact that there is no Pixel Buds companion app for iOS. Why we don't have one for the Pixel Buds is truthfully just beyond me. But I know what you really want to know. How do these earbuds actually sound? What's the sound quality like on the Pixel Buds Pro 2? And do they sound better than the last generation of the Pixel Buds Pro 1? Right out of the box, one of the first things I noticed with the Pixel Buds Pro 2 was the level of detail and clarity. You'll hear crisp, clear highs, especially in the high treble. And I'm assuming part of that has to do with that new high frequency chamber we talked about earlier. I will say on some songs and in some genres, the treble could be perhaps just a touch too high and a touch too aggressive. So you may want to consider dialing that back a little bit in the EQ settings if that's something you're experiencing. But in terms of bass and sub bass, if you're a bass head, you're gonna be pretty happy with these things. I was able to hear bass and sub bass as low as 15 hertz, but I did find myself actually personally boosting some of the bass response in the EQ balance to bring out even more bass rumbliness and bass impactfulness. So personally, I took down the trebles a little bit and boosted the bass a little bit, but right out of the box, a pretty solid balanced listening experience. And on that subject, you do have the ability of toggling between 6 different EQ presets, which you could try and test to see if you find one that you like. Or if you're like me and you wanna take matters into your own hands, like I did, you do also have the ability of taking advantage of a 5-band audio equalizer built in as well. But once I dialed in my preferred EQ settings, I was listening to instrument separation and overall sound balance, and I gotta say, these things sound great. So great, in fact, that they might actually be in my top 5 favorite earbuds as it relates to sound quality right now, maybe even my top 3. But in terms of active noise cancellation, a huge part of the premium earbud listening experience these days, I'm also happy with the ANC performance that these babies are offering. They definitely favor the lower part of the frequency spectrum, blocking out nearly all lower frequencies such as engine rumbles, fans, refrigerators, whatever's running for machines. This is gonna cancel those out no problem. They are less aggressive at canceling out midtones or higher frequencies, but still solid performance. Now on the opposite end of active noise cancellation is gonna be transparency mode, a mode that of course is gonna try to make it seem like you have transparent earbuds or you don't have earbuds in your ears at all. And with that performance, I'm loving it as well. And the transparency mode is made all that much more better with the conversation detection feature, which is where the Pixel Buds Pro 2 are going to automatically turn off active noise cancellation and turn on transparency mode when they detect that you're starting to talk to someone. For me, this feature worked flawlessly, but I will say it took a tad longer than I wanted it to actually kick in, which kind of lessened the seamless experience of conversation detection, but at least it's there and it works, and I like that. In terms of microphones built in, each Pixel Bud Pro 2 earbud contains 3 different microphones, and if you're wondering what those do as it relates to microphone quality, here's a quick little demo for you. This is what the microphone quality sounds like on the Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds. This is raw audio quality recorded directly from the Pixel Buds Pro 2, recorded into the voice recorder app on my Pixel 9 Pro. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect. So as you just heard, not the greatest microphone quality there. Acceptable, but not nearly as great sounding as some of the microphone quality on other earbuds that we've tested recently, so a little bit of a letdown there. But all in all, there is a lot to love about the Pixel Buds Pro 2 as it relates to sound quality. They sound great, especially if you tweak them a little bit to make them sound even better with some EQ adjustments. But with all these features we're talking about, how long can you actually expect these buds to last for? What's the battery life looking like on the Pixel Buds Pro 2? With your typical listening settings, Google is promising up to 8 hours of ANC listening time, or up to 30 hours total of ANC listening time when including the charging case, which is about 12 hours of non-ANC listening time, or about 48 hours of total non-ANC listening time, again, when including the charging case. You do also get a quick charge feature on the Pixel Buds Pro 2. Google actually says on a quick 5-minute charge of the buds in their charging case, that could yield you actually upwards of around 90 minutes of non-ANC listening time. which by my math is around an hour of ANC listening time. And so these battery life numbers that we have here on the Pixel Buds Pro 2, awesome. Fine by me. They're actually a little bit above what I expect out of a pair of earbuds like this, so I'm liking the battery life numbers a lot. And when it comes time to actually recharging your charging case, you could do so, of course, via USB-C, or you could actually do so wirelessly with a Qi certified wireless charger as well. But with all this having been said, here are my final thoughts on the Google Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds, and whether or not they're a big upgrade here, despite their now smaller size. In a nutshell, the Pixel Buds Pro 2 earbuds are so good and come so close to being my new favorite pair of earbuds, but unfortunately, they're not quite there. Listen, these earbuds check off a lot of the boxes that I look for in a premium pair of earbuds. But for a pair of earbuds at this price point, there are three main things that I think are missing that I consider to be must-haves these days. First, I would have liked to have seen an even bigger and better silicone stabilizer here in the Buds design itself. Secondly, I would have liked to have seen support for at least one high-resolution Bluetooth audio codec. And then last but most certainly not least, I wish we had support for using these babies on iOS. I wish we had an iOS-compatible companion app to actually use these babies to their fullest potential on an iPhone. At the end of the day, yes, I could still most certainly recommend the Pixel Buds Pro 2. In and of themselves, they are a great pair of earbuds, but they might not be as great of a value as some of the other premium earbuds that I've reviewed recently, some of which are actually considerably cheaper. But as always, for the latest deals, prices, promos, and information for the Pixel Buds Pro 2, you can of course always head to my affiliate link, bmac.link/pixelbuds pro2. Of course, as always, there will be clickable links in the video description box and in the comment section below, so check those out. But with that having been said, it is now time for me to go get my workout in whilst wearing these earbuds. Good way to pump me up. These babies sound amazing. I will see you guys in my next video.